All right, everybody, I hope that you all had a great week. Want to talk to you about what happened in Washington, D.C. this week. Got my two monkeys with me, Magnum and Maverick. Always great to have them with me. I know that we're all excited to celebrate Thanksgiving next week, but unfortunately, dinner is going to cost a little bit more for every family this year than what it did last year, certainly. Magnum, what's your favorite food?
For Thanksgiving?
For Thanksgiving, what's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Steak.
Steak? I think steak is up around 20% right now as compared to last year. You have any other favorite foods?
For Thanksgiving, also mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes. Potatoes are up, again, something like 15-20%. What about you, Maverick? You have any favorite Thanksgiving foods?
Steak and mashed potatoes.
Steak and mashed potatoes, we covered that. Turkey's up about another 15%, something close to that. So these are real facts. The prices that we will spend for Thanksgiving this year are higher because of the policies that are going on. Do you know why those foods cost more?
Democrats. Nancy.
Inflation. Do you know what inflation means?
Yeah.
Do you understand what that means?
Yeah. Okay.
What does it mean?
It means money is less, like a $10 bill becomes worth like $5.
It doesn't buy you as much as what it would have bought you before. Do you have any other explanation for that?
So that means I need a $15 bill. Money is less valuable because things are more expensive.
That's right. You guys hit the nail on the head. Hey, I thank you guys for the conversation. Why don't you guys step out and I'll finish this video. Bye. See you guys later. All right, so I can't go over everything about how my boys might fix inflation. They'd probably come up with some interesting ideas on how to fix that. But I'm glad that they do understand inflation. That makes me proud that they're picking up a few things as they're here in Washington, and things that hopefully they will be against as they become taxpayers. I said I want to go to some good news. As you know, we've been closely following President Biden's unconstitutional vaccine mandate. But as we expected, a federal court has issued a stay, which means that OSHA now has to pause all plans for enforcement until the legal proceedings are completed. But if your company is not a government contractor and your boss is telling you that you have to get a vaccine or else, they are doing that because your company is deciding that, not because President Biden is doing that, because he got slapped down by the courts to say you can't do that. That's an infringement on people. It's an infringement to your privacy, especially when it comes to doctor-patient confidentiality. But it is no longer a big government edict on private employers. Thank you, courts, for taking care of that one for the time being. I think that's a win. That's a positive. But I want to talk about this just in one other vein. If you're concerned about the vaccination status impacting your employment, we want to help you. Go to my website, mass.house.gov/vaccine mandate, and I will send a letter on your behalf to your government agency or whoever it is that's trying to infringe on your life, and basically asking them this: what should be common sense? Will you accept full liability for the person that you're mandating get a vaccine? And if not, why not? And have you rejected their religious exemption or their medical exemption or other reasons that they state that they shouldn't be getting this? And if so, why? And we will send those letters on your behalf to try to get to the bottom of these things and make sure that you don't have to get a vaccine that you do not necessarily want. If you want it, great, get it. You shouldn't receive any pressure or feel bad about getting it. But if you don't want it, likewise, great, don't get it, and you shouldn't receive any pressure for not getting it. This is an ongoing battle for our freedom, and we have to stay in it. We're not going to give this battle up. Speaking of our military, just a little bit more. On the floor of the House of Representatives this week, we managed to deliver for our veterans. Thank God. We passed several bills, including the Higher Veterans Health Heroes Act. This bill would actually recruit active duty military personnel who are separating from service to fill open positions at the VA hospitals across the country. It actually helps with 3 issues. It would help address the workforce shortages inside of the VA. It would increase veteran employment opportunities, and it would mean that our veterans would be cared for by someone who gets what they're going through and has a real interest in providing the best possible care. We're brothers and sisters in arms, and as veterans, we take care of one another. It has to be that relationship that doesn't end when we leave the battlefield. We know it doesn't end when we leave the battlefield. It continues on when we're in the civilian world and being seen in the VA and other places. And as someone who was treated by what I would call the best of the best at Walter Reed Army Medical Center after my injury, I'm confident that this bill, it would make a difference, and I look forward to seeing it become law. Finally, last thing that I'm going to talk about is an update on the Lake Okeechobee System Operating Manual. The Army Corps of Engineers have been optimizing the new plan for several months, and this week they finally announced the changes. This happened because several years ago I wrote a bill, passed it into law, that demanded the Army Corps of Engineers redo the manual by which it manages Lake Okeechobee. This has now come to an end. There's good news and there's bad news. The good news is that it reduces discharges to the St. Lucie, and it's an improvement from the status quo, or an improvement from what existed before. Why I wrote the law to say, Corps of Engineers, you have to redo this. We now have an improvement on that. The bad news is that it still has the potential to send an unacceptable volume of toxic water from Lake Okeechobee into the St. Lucie and the Caloosahatchee and the Lake Worth Lagoon. And that means that Big Sugar is still the biggest winner, and we're still a long way from seeing this plan implemented. So I'm going to continue to fight for our communities by every possible stick that I can swing at this issue, as I fight for it every single day. But that's the good and the bad and the ugly on that. As always, it is an honor to serve you in Washington. I wish you all the best. You all have a great Thanksgiving. We'll see you all around.